to finish, to go show the good performance end of the fight, you know.
And you dropped him with that head kick in the second. Did you think you were going to be able to get him out of there in that moment?
Yeah, I just told in some media, he happy I don't have big leg, you know. I just catch him with my fingers, and it's a good shot, you know. After that, I try to land it some punch, go crazy, you know, don't control my emotion, and almost finish him.
How do you feel physically after the fight?
Round, Ian was saying something to you, kind of trying to give you a hug, touching you on the head. Beginning of the 5th round, he high-fived you. Dana White said he hates that. He wish you guys would just...
Bro, honestly, I don't understand, man. This is the fight. This is not something we have to, like, hug each other every round, you know. We're going to war to broke the face, to broke the eye, you know. That's why I respect all my opponents. But Jan, I don't know, he respect too much.
What did he say to you after the fight? Because it looked like he came and
He
shouted.
just said, I fight today with the greatest fighter. Yeah, I respect him, you know. He's a good guy, very kind, you know. But this is the war, you know. Look my face. I just come to beat everybody. Of course, this is some of them give 1 round or 4th rounds, but I feel I won the 3 rounds, I mean, before the last round, you know. But Khabib and all corners say you have to win the last round. And on the last round, I feel I can take him down, do something more, you know, because this 3rd and 4th round not like very tough, and I have like power to finish, to go show the good performance end of the fight.
Like, I think that Ian is a talented guy. If he had even an ounce of killer instinct in that 5th round, you know, he had been beating him to the body. Islam's whole, I think, right side was beat up. His face was beat up. You don't come out and hug and shake hands in the fight. That shit drives me fucking crazy when there's so much at stake, and there's also you know, a lot of mental, you know, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it in this game. You come out in that 5th round with a flying knee or something crazy, and you try to finish the fight. I think that this is one of those fights that Ian will go back and watch and say, fuck. Rangy, strong guy who has great takedown defense. I mean, if you look at his takedown defense tonight against Islam, it was impressive. I felt like I think that Ian is a talented guy. If he had even an ounce of killer instinct in that 5th round, you know, he had been beating him to the body. Islam's whole, I think, right side was beat up. His face was beat up. You don't come out and hug and shake hands in the fight. That shit drives me fucking crazy when there's so much at stake, and there's also you know, a lot of mental you know, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it in this game. You come out in that 5th round with a flying knee or something crazy, and you try to finish the fight. I think that this is one of those fights that Ian will go back and watch and say, fuck. If you'd have come out of that fucking corner like a raging fucking bull, you know, we might be having a different conversation right now.
Do you feel like Ian's too nice to his opponents? At the press conference, he wanted to build Islam up. He's been nice about him all week.
I think that Ian's a classy guy is what I think. And, you know, he always shows class. He did, you know, before the fight, he goes over and shakes, you know, all the corners' hands and all that stuff. It's great. But when that fucking bell rings, you got to switch. You got to switch all that shit off and go. And you definitely got to do it in the 5th round after the, you know, he fought a great fight against Islam, who, you know, everybody in this room and everybody else is saying, well, we might start talking about GOAT. You don't go shake the fucking GOAT's hand going into the 5th round. You come out to fucking annihilate him. I mean, that just has to be your mindset. In my humble opinion. I think that Ian is a talented guy. If he had even an ounce of killer instinct in that 5th round, you know, he had been beating him to the body. Islam's whole, I think, right side was beat up. His face was beat up. You don't come out and hug and shake hands in the fight. That shit drives me fucking crazy when there's so much at stake, and there's also, a lot of mental, gamesmanship, whatever you want to call it in this game. You come out in that 5th round with a flying knee or something crazy, and you try to finish the fight. I think that this is one of those fights that Ian will go back and watch and say, fuck, wish I could do that over again. I felt like tonight was set up for the upset. I felt like the upset could happen tonight with so much on the line, all the records that Islam has, and he's going to break Anderson Silva's record. There's weight classes for a reason. Ian Garry is a big, rangy, strong guy who has great takedown defense. I mean, if you look at his takedown defense tonight against Islam, it was impressive. Islam went out, it's the complete opposite now. Against a bigger, strong, rangy guy who has good takedown defense, controlled him, shut him down. I don't know if he was in his head and Ian felt like he had to come out and shake hands in the 5th round or whatever, but Islam did exactly what he needed to do to win that fight. When I went in after the fight and Ian Garry came over and shook my hand, Ian Garry's handshake is like a fucking vice grip, and he is a big, powerful, rangy guy. And, for Islam to go in and do what he did to him tonight, physical and...
Islam Makhachev is now 17-0 in a row. Anderson Silva's record is broken. But the real story isn't what Islam did. It's what Ian Garry failed to do in the 5th round when Islam's right side was destroyed, his face was compromised, and the upset was geometrically possible. This fight exposed something technical about championship mentality that has nothing to do with ability. Ian Garry's takedown defense was genuinely impressive. His striking was sharp, his range control worked for stretches, his movement kept him off his back for most of the fight. But in round 5, when Islam was hurt and beatable, Ian came out and hugged him instead of annihilating him. Dana White said it plainly: if Ian had even an ounce of killer instinct in round 5, if he'd thrown a flying knee or just beat Islam to the body with bad intentions, the fight becomes different. Islam's right side was compromised, his face was compromised, the record was hanging, the pressure was maximal, and instead of capitalizing on damaged goods, Ian showed respect. The technical breakdown here is about what actually happened before round 5. Islam was controlling the fight but not dominating it. That's not the narrative being pushed, but it's the mechanical reality. Ian was landing clean shots, his distance work was functional, his jab was consistent. The difference was that Islam was winning rounds not because he was overwhelming on the feet, but because he was mixing pressure, takedown entries, and control sequences that scored rounds despite not being dominant within them. When Islam dropped Ian with a rear leg head kick in round 2, it wasn't a fight-ending sequence. It was a moment. Islam acknowledged he lost control emotionally after that. He went crazy instead of finishing. That admission matters. The kick landed clean, but Islam's follow-up was scrambled. Ian survived it and continued the fight. The kick was significant, but not the technical domination it appeared to be in real time. The clinch game is where Islam's system proved itself. Every time Ian backed off and created distance, Islam rebuilt pressure. The rear leg positioning, the shoulder pressure, the pace, these elements forced Ian into a rhythm where he was constantly resetting. The takedown attempts weren't successful on the scorecards because Islam wasn't landing them, but the threat of them altered Ian's positioning. Ian was defending preemptively, which creates openings Islam could exploit. But this is the critical part. None of that happened explosively. Islam controlled through systems, not devastation. He passed half guard to side control. He applied pressure and moved to better positions. He didn't finish. He accumulated. Over 5 rounds, accumulation becomes points. Ian's problem was execution at the moment that mattered. In round 4, when Islam's damage was visible but the record wasn't broken yet, Ian had chances. In round 5, when everything was on the line, the upset was mathematically within range if Ian escalated. Instead, Ian treated round 5 like another round. He shook hands instead of came for the finish. He acknowledged respect instead of seeking destruction. This is where sportsmanship becomes a technical problem. When you show your opponent excessive respect during a fight, mid-round acknowledgments, hand checks instead of punches, you're communicating that you're not fully committed to the violence. Islam understood this. He called it out. Bro, I don't understand. This is the fight. This is war. You break the face, you break the eye. Islam's perspective is mechanically sound. In a 5-round fight with everything stacked against you, softness in execution is a technical loss. Ian had the tools, his takedown defense was real, his length was real, his striking was real, but his aggression dial topped out at 70% when it needed to reach 100 in the final round. The records matter contextually but not mechanistically. Islam is now on a 17-fight winning streak, breaking Anderson Silva's 16-fight record. He defended his welterweight title in his debut at the weight class. He's the 5th fighter to defend a title across 2 weight classes. These are legacy achievements, but they're also pressure mechanics. Islam carried the weight of all these records going in. He couldn't afford to lose. Ian carried 0 weight. He was the underdog. The pressure was entirely on Islam. That dynamic typically creates upset vulnerability. Higher-seeded players lose all the time when the pressure is that concentrated. But Ian didn't capitalize on the pressure inversion. He maintained his systems instead of escalating through them. When you look at the takedown defense framework, Ian succeeded in staying off his back. That's not a small thing. Islam is elite at forcing takedowns through pressure, and Ian's base awareness, leg placement, and chain wrestling response kept him upright enough. But staying upright and winning rounds aren't the same thing. Islam scored rounds through threat density, the constant pressure, the repeated entry attempts, the brief moments of control, not through sustained dominance. That's a technical distinction that changed how the fight looked versus how it scored. Islam acknowledged that he wasn't fighting the fight he planned. He was fighting the fight Ian was forcing him into. Instead of finishing, Islam was accumulating. That's not failure on Islam's part, it's adaptation. When your opponent is tall, rangy, and committed to distance management, pure grappling doesn't work the way it does against shorter fighters with less lateral space. Islam adjusted and still won, which is the highest level fighter move. But it also means Islam wasn't the clean technical superior being presented post-fight. The physical damage tells the real story. Islam's right side was beat up, his face was beat up. These aren't minor details. This means Ian's strikes were landing consistently. The range game was working, the distance control was functional, but Ian never transitioned that striking success into aggression. He accumulated strikes without accumulating intent. Every round was similar to the previous one instead of escalating. In round 5 specifically, when the fight was close enough that one round could swing momentum, Ian's failure to escalate became the mechanical disadvantage. He went out and did more of the same, moved, jabbed, moved again. Islam went out differently. Islam knew he needed the round. Islam's aggression changed. That difference in urgency is a technical factor that judges score. The head hug moment is the symbolic representation of this mechanical failure. Ian approaching Islam mid-fight with excessive respect, Islam not understanding why you'd show that in the cage. This is a communication of different fight philosophies. Ian's philosophy was fight well and be respectful. Islam's philosophy was control the fight and impose your will. One is polite, one is effective. The takeaway isn't that Ian is a bad fighter. It's that in one specific moment, round 5, final round, records on the line, Islam damaged but dangerous. Ian had an opportunity window and chose not to fully execute through it. He finished the fight the same way he fought it. Islam finished the fight differently than he fought it. That difference in round 5 is why the Anderson Silva record belongs to Islam now instead of being challenged again at a future date. For the welterweight title, Islam retained it. For the legacy, he extended it. But the mechanical reality is that Garry found a way to damage an elite fighter and didn't finish. That's the technical story that will matter when Ian watches tape and realizes what could have been different with one adjustment in aggression scaling.